Hello, and welcome back to your favorite sustainable podcast. My name is Brooke Chase. I am your host, and today I am very excited to share with you guys a checklist of how to throw a party. Now, there are lots of reasons that people would throw a party, but I thought this was a great time to share this episode with you guys because the weather is warming up. Everyone is starting to think about spring and summer, getting back outside, cookouts, birthday parties, gatherings, etc. And also, it was just St. Patrick's Day. So, for those of you that are in the Savannah area or wherever, there was a lot of partying going on around here. I did share a TikTok on how to be sustainably prepared. So if you are ever in the area for St. Patrick's Day, you can check that out on the talk. But yeah, so I just wanted to share some tips. Also, some of you may know that I've decided to make saving the planet one party at a time my full time job. So I thought this would be a good way to kind of kick that off and promote myself a little bit. Why not? But yeah, so we're going to talk about the simple truth of why it matters to be a little bit more sustainable when you're thinking about your gatherings and party plannings, how to plan, some tips, do's and don'ts. We are going to have a simple swap of the week. As always, your beer of the week, and there will not be a joke of the week because I tried very hard to find a joke about sustainable partying. And dear God, they were not funny. So that's out. um, all right. So to get into it, why is it very important that we think about sustainability when gathering our friends and family and neighbors and coworkers together? And that is because a lot of times, even people that are mostly sustainable, it's really hard to plan an event, right? And I've been an event planner for many, many events. And I know that it's very difficult to also wear both hats because you don't have a lot of time and you're trying to do everything you can to have a good party. So, this episode is basically about how to simplify that. So basically, the reason that this is important is because there are 300 million tons of plastic created each year worldwide. And half of those, so 150 million tons of plastic, are made for single use items. And that is the equivalent to the weight of the entire human population, all of that plastic. So we're really just inundated with this throwaway culture. And so the reason that this is so important is because 91% of that plastic is not recycled at all. So single use plastic in particular are also oftentimes not allowed in recycling machinery because they fall into the crevices, which can obviously stop things up, break the machinery, et cetera, et cetera. So if you ask me, it's a very broken system. But yeah, so single-use plastics are bad on top of the fact that they're plastic, but they're bad for that reason as well. And plastics don't actually break down, they just break up. So after they're in the sun and the heat, they slowly turn these bigger pieces into smaller and smaller pieces till they eventually become these microplastics that you guys have heard me talk about time and time again. But basically, they end up in the water, they're eaten by the wildlife, and then we eat them, and then we are walking plastic people. So yeah, so we don't want that. So how can we do a better job of planning our parties to make it simple and also not have all of this plastic and waste? So first of all is have a plan. So who are you inviting? How many people are you inviting? How are these people going to RSVP? Do you have a theme? These are things that you have to do for any party, but it's really important if you want to have a sustainable party because the more you can plan, the more you can better plan, like, so you don't have food waste and all these other things. So first of all is make your plan. The next is, and you can think about other things in that plan. So, like for sake example, if you were planning a wedding and you want certain type of flower, if you use a flower that is grown in your area that blooms at that time, then that will make it a lot easier for you to get that flower. So, for example, a long time ago, I thought it was a good idea to get married. So I actually had as close to a zero waste wedding as I could. And so I wanted wildflowers to be in my wedding. And so I had the wedding like in the middle of July. But I didn't really realize that most wildflowers are in full bloom at the end of the summer. So it was fine. We still had plenty. But if I would have thought about it, I probably would have had it a little bit later in the summer. But just something additional that you can think of. But things like the area, things like that. Just start when you're planning, think about these things. Invitations. So obviously digital invitations are the best, but definitely like if you want to do seed paper or recycled paper, that's great. You can also just absolutely call people, text everybody, email them the digital invitation. But you want to stay away from glossy or glittery invitations. A lot of people don't know this, but glitter, even though it is really pretty and I love glitter, it makes a giant mess, number one. And number two, that mess is made out of plastic. And they're very tiny pieces of plastic. So glitter is ex neglitere. All right. So decorations. Um, I've talked about decorating sustainably before, but using fabrics, flowers, colors, foraged items, natural elements. When you decorate with these types of textures and things that you can reuse, they don't have to just be used for that one thing. You can also rent tablecloths, napkins, if you want to do like a flower arch or some kind of metal arch. These are things that you can rent. Or if you do want to purchase them, or say you get them off the Facebook Marketplace or something, you can resell them and donate them if you don't have the space to keep them. Things like that. You can buy stuff off or sorry, not buy. You can get things off your local Buy Nothing group, borrow them from friends, families, neighbors, coworkers. Think about decorations that you maybe already had. Maybe you already had a Hawaiian luau and you want to have a party. So have a Hawaiian luau party because you already have those decorations. You can always go to thrift stores. You can make centerpieces and then give them away as gifts if you don't want to hold on to them, or you could even make it part of the craft of the party where you're making the centerpieces. You can shop local. There are lots of ways that you can decorate without just simply going to the dollar store or the party store and buying, cheaper decorations. But also, if you do buy those, they will hold if you take care of them. So, you can just kind of fold them up nicely and reuse them or give them as a gift to, like, especially if you're a mom or a dad and you're having a party for your 2-year old or your 3-year old or however old, and it's a theme. Most likely, if you wanted that theme, someone else is going to want that theme. So you could just, re-gift it or give it away on Buy Nothing. Or, if you want to try to sell it. But that's, you don't have to throw it away. But definitely, again, no glitter and no balloons. I actually just made a balloon arch and I thought for a second, because it was so cool, I thought, maybe balloons aren't that bad. And then they all just started popping and there was little pieces of balloon plastic everywhere. And all I could imagine is like a squirrel or a bird or something eating these balloons. And I just was like, oh God. So yeah, balloons are bad. No balloons, no glitter. Okay, skip the single use items. Also, balloons are really freaking expensive. I had no idea that helium and balloons were so expensive. So you'll save yourself some money that way. Like I said, if you do want to have like a balloon arch though, you could rent an arch or make an arch through flowers or, paper or any other kind of natural thing that you want to make an arch out of. I'm all for that. Number 3, skip the single use item. So this is pretty much a no-brainer, but I am going to give you some tips on how you can make your life a lot easier without using these things. So like I said, no single use plastics, plates, condiments, straws, no paper napkins, skip the single wrap snacks. Sorry. And definitely no styrofoam. Nay, styrofoam. All right. And before we get into my tips on how to do regular cups, napkins, all the things, we're going to do a quick commercial about my Frownies. As I said, I am supporting myself solely from this business. So please buy Frownies so that I can help support myself. I think I've made a whopping $14 from this so far. So please buy Frownies so I can buy more Frownies for myself. How about that? Yeah, but code simple. I'll have the link in my social media as always. But basically, I love Frownies because they release the tension while you sleep. Again, if you can see me on YouTube, you can see that I really don't have, I need to probably start using them for my crow's feet, but I just haven't felt like doing the extra step. But they just release all the tension in your forehead, and you wake up with a glass like forehead, which I absolutely love because I am sustainable, but I do want to look beautiful. So get yourself some Frownies. Code simple. Also, they have a great skincare line. So if you're looking for all natural skincare for everything and all the other things, they have a fantastic serum, a bunch of serums. They have like under eye gels, all kinds of cool things. So shop Frownies. And a great story, female owned business, I might add. Okay, so obviously, since number 3 is don't use single use items, number 4 is use reusable items. So real cups, real cloth napkins, utensils to wash and reuse. Now, I know what you're saying. I am not going to wash all this stuff from 50 friggin' people, blah, blah, blah. Okay, it's not that hard. So, what you get a bin, like when you go to a restaurant, you see like one of those plastic bins. They could be metal, galvanized bin, like anything. You could reuse a big cooler, anything you want to use that just you can mark that says like dirty dishes here. So like you want to have a dish for food scraps. So they'll, just like at a restaurant, they would scrape off their food and then stick the dirty dish in the bin with soapy water in it. And then whenever you go to do the dishes, I mean, if your party's outside, you just take a hose. They've already been sitting in the soap, have one person hold them, maybe scrub it with a sponge real fast, squirt it with the hose, lay it out to dry. Done. It will literally not take you that long, even if you had 50 of these things. Or like I said, if you don't want to do that, you can call me and I'll do it for you. Okay, so leave marked bins full of soapy water for dirty dishes, dirty dish drop off for simple cleanup. You can also have a bin for the cloth napkins. Now, for cloth napkins, what I am going to be doing is getting a bunch of tablecloths and then cutting them in like an 8x10 square, or if you want a cocktail one, if you want bigger ones, you can thrift napkins. But I'm just going to real quick sew them. I forget the name of the sewing of the edges, but I'm just going to make a whole bunch. You could rent tablecloths, you could buy them. Maybe you already have a whole bunch of tea towels you want to use. But if not, you could use recycled napkins or bamboo napkins, something that is a little bit more sustainable. At the end of the day, all we have to do is better, not, I'm not going to crucify you if you use napkins, but maybe you add one of these every time you have a party and develop a little collection. Anyways, but try to do the cloth napkins, opt for bamboo if you can't do reusable, thrift utensil selection for a party stash. So basically what this means is like whenever you go to yard sales, thrift stores, maybe you ask your local buy nothing, but just kind of have like a collection of a bunch of these utensils, or maybe you get new utensils and you want to save your old ones for this. But just kind of keep a stash of these things just for when you have a party. Keep them in a box or a bin or whatever in the garage or the attic or wherever, and then you can just pull them out whenever you're going to have people over and use your party stash. Another thing you can do is encourage people to bring their own cup. If you think that's weird, you could make a craft out of it and they can decorate their cup when they get to, based on, your theme or whatever, with whether it's marker or glass, and they use, whatever. I'm just giving you some ideas, but you can have people bring their own cup. And all right, so number 5 is food tips. Mark all your food. So that helps prevent waste and, God forbid if someone has an allergy. But when you go to a party and you just think, what is that? Instead of thinking, what is that? If everything is marked of what it is, then people won't take something that perhaps they don't like or that they're allergic to or whatever. It's just really nice for guests if you have the food clearly marked. Finger foods. Look, Ma, no utensils required. I love that one. So anything finger foods, then you don't really need, like if you have a skewer or whatever, then you don't need any utensils anyways. Try some plant-based dishes. I love doing this. I think it's fun to cook different ways. But obviously having less meat is better for the planet. And it's also nice to have an option for your vegan or vegetarian pals. So try a couple of dishes that have no meat. Definitely don't do, like if you're doing a thing for work and they do the single lunchbox things, those are a lot of waste. They're all in a bag. They all have their single blah, 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 single wrapped snacks. Snacks. Um, so don't do that. Buffet is better. So no lunchbox style, yes, buffet, and try to, natural food, no or better to have non-processed food. And that's just like kind for your guests because I don't know, I don't want processed food, even though I do eat it sometimes. um you can use food from your garden is always wonderful. You can plan a seasonal menu with locally grown food. You can buy local pre-made dishes. You can serve local beer. Anything to support, your local economy is always good to do. You can also go to savethefood.com guesstimator. There will be a link in my blog and in the show notes to estimate how much food you need to avoid excess. If you do have extra, you could send it home with people or donate to your local food drive. And make sure that you have a place for people to, like I said, put those extra scraps, or their veggies if you have a compost. And then also if you do have a compost, then compost. If you don't have a compost, definitely keep listening to the show. There are a lot of fantastic reasons to do a compost. If you have any questions about that, totally feel free to drop me a message. Number 6, water. Now, there's a lot of reasons that you should have water at your party, but one, it will save you from running around to refill people's waters, and 2, you won't have any ugly plastic water bottles all over the place that you will obviously then be throwing into the landfill. So, if you don't know about the reasons that is so bad, listen to the very first episode of this podcast. But please, please, please have a water station. What you can do is get those 5-gallon jugs, and then you can get a pump. There's like battery operated ones that you just press a button, or you use the little blue hand pump. Both are great. I will also have links to the Amazon for those. And, obviously reusable drinkware, reusable straws. And again, you can encourage people to bring their own water bottle to refill. So those are my tips about water. And then number 7, and this is probably the most important part, is proper receptacles with signage. Now, listen, if you do all of these things, if people still put like the recycling and the garbage all in the same thing, then you haven't done, it's just, you've kind of defeated the purpose, right? So, trash, recycling, compost, food waste, and then if you're going to do the reusable utensils, then a place for that. And so the best way that you can do that properly is to have signs. All right. And so, depending on how big your event is, I made these signs for a friend for her birthday party. But this just says cutlery, throw your dirty forks, spoons, knives here to be washed and reused. Thanks. And then me and yo mama Earth. She gonna like that. This sign is for recycling. And this one just says, what is recyclable in your city? So this one is cans, glass bottles, and aluminum bottles based on what you're going to have at your party. You don't need like a whole big long list unless you want to be super educational, then kudos to you. But at her party, I knew these were going to be the only things. So I just had those three things. The next thing is trash. So anything you're going to have at your party that might be garbage. So this one says napkins, paper towels, plastic utensils. I knew they were going to have all of that stuff. So I put that on there. Anything with food residue, paper cups, plates, because remember, paper cups are lined. And so they cannot be recycled. Broken bottles, glass cannot be, styrofoam, aluminum foil, plastic cups. So again, like I knew that those things were going to be there. So if they're going to be there anyway, at least you could tell people where they're going to be. As I've said many times, it's better to do a little. It's better for everyone to be more sustainable imperfectly than a few perfect people, right? I can't remember the saying, but you know what I'm trying to say. Okay, signage. Now, those are your 7 tips, but the biggest pro tip is that you tell people in advance, like, hey, I'm having a party and we want to try to do this as sustainable as possible. So, just set the expectation. And like, you're not an asshole for doing that. And people will probably give you kudos for that. And, it just kind of sets the tone for like, hey, we're trying to do our part here. And then maybe you do it a little more each time. And then your friends try to do that. And, you set the trend for all your friends. If you don't want to do this or you want help with this, or you're having a party and you just, would like to learn more about how you can do it sustainably, you can hit me up on social media at simply be, just the letter B, social, or my website, www.simplybesocial.net. And I would absolutely love to help you out. So just to recap, we are trying to save the planet by gathering people with more fun but less waste. So we're going to plan our party. We're going to have sustainably minded decorations. We're going to skip the single-use items. We're going to buy Frownies and use code SIMPLES. Like, I'm just kidding. Number 4, you're going to use real cups, cloth napkins, utensils. 6, have a water station. And 7, proper receptacles with signage, and you'll set the tone. Your simple swap of the week is make your own mess kit. I have one of these in my car. When I had a real job, I had one at my office. You can put one in your kid's lunchbox, which you probably already have. But do the same for you. So basically, that's a random straw that I got that I did not use, but I didn't want to throw it away, so put it in here. But I have koozies in here. I have a metal straw. And then in here, I think I have a straw cleaner. Yes, I do. That's a straw and a straw cleaner. And then just metal utensils. Right? And there's a fork in there too. So I just keep that around with me. It just goes in this little thing, and you can throw it in your purse, you can throw it in your car. Like I said, I just always have that. And then I have a cloth napkin in here. There's my cloth napkin right here. And that way, whenever I go somewhere that has plastic, I have that. So it's really just bringing your stuff with you. That's all you got to do. That's it. All right, so that is your simple swap of the week, is a DIY mess kit. And you could bring that with you to every party that you go to, and then say they do have single use. That doesn't mean you have to use it. You got your own. All righty. All right now. Okay. Um, oh, our beer of the week. So, our beer of the week is O'Brien. It is a red ale from Service Brewery, and it is fantastic. I am going to give you guys some notes about it because it tastes delicious, and I asked for them and they sent them to me. So, let me just read them to you real quick. Okay. It's an Irish red ale. It is a sessionable Irish red ale with malty notes of roasted barley, hints of caramel, candy, and honey. Oh, God, so good. With an approachable amount of bitterness, this popular classic has a crisp and slightly dry finish. It is a 4.5 ABV and it is now available at Service Brewery. If you are in the Savannah area, get yourself some of that because it is so good. Again, it is called O'Brien Red Ale at Service Brewery, which is owned by veterans, which I love. All right. So that is our show for today. I still feel like we're missing something, but I think we've covered it all. If you guys again have any questions, please hit me up and I will be happy to help you throw a party with more fun and less waste. Thank you all for listening. Please follow me on social media and share my shit so we can get our story to the masses. And yeah, thank you. Thank you guys so much. I miss you. I'm sorry for my slight hiatus. I'm trying to make some money here. So, that's it. Love y'all. Stay simple. Bye.